I watched you all enter this room and felt the radiance of your presence here. I want you to know that each and every one of you are seen, are heard, and you matter. And this congregation becomes stronger and stronger because you are here. So thank you for that. I also have a bit of an apology to make because I really got going here. I have been feeling this information gathering within. It's a 7-step process to conscious living, to really bring the energy of awareness as we move, and inspiration to help us move in this time of great change in the world. And so I created a talk that was going to cover all 7. And I have a most extraordinary accountability partner. We should all be so lucky to have Jane Hyatt sit down and talk about what matters with you on a weekly basis, sometimes more often than that. So I was so excited about this talk, and I said, Jane, and I started to give it to her and share, and she said, Kate, that is a 7-week course. That is an entire weekend retreat. What are you doing to these people? I said, well, I have this, it's just bubbling up, and she said, how about you just start with the first one? Well, that woman's brilliant. And I was back to the drawing board, so literally, poor Doug. I mean, the first iteration, the second iteration, the 12th iteration, it's been a process in our home. But this morning, I want to talk with you about the path of conscious living, overview, not all 7. The first one is conscious creation, and it takes in community and belonging. And by the grace of all goddesses before us, we need that. And so here we are this morning. I want to just say that there comes a moment in nearly everyone's life when something within us begins to stir. We may not yet have the language for it. We may not understand where it's leading us, but simply we begin sensing that there may be something of more truth that's asking to live through us. Sometimes this awakening comes gently. It's a quiet longing for greater meaning. Sometimes it comes through loss or change, uncertainty or illness perhaps, or even heartbreak, or the end of a chapter that we thought would never have an end. Life brings us to a threshold, and suddenly the questions we once avoided become impossible to ignore. Who am I? Yeah, I think about this a lot, believe me, and I think we all are. Who am I beneath the roles that I have played? What do I truly, truly believe? What is mine to do? What kind of presence am I bringing to this world? For me, this awakening did not arrive because I think I had everything figured out. It came because my life opened to it. There were experiences that brought me to my knees, experience that asked me to release who I thought I was and become willing to listen to something deeper. I began to understand that this path was not asking me to become more impressive, to be seen as more accomplished or as more certain. It was simply asking me to become more conscious. It was asking me to come home to myself. Perhaps you've known such a moment. Perhaps you are in it right now. Something in your life feels like it's shifting. An old identity may no longer fit. A belief that you once held without question may be asking simply to be re-examined. A relationship is inviting you for greater honesty, perhaps. The world itself may feel unfair, unsettled, and difficult to understand, but these moments that feel distorted are really often something quite sacred. They are the moments when life chooses to loosen our grip on what's been so hard to see, but you know is emerging in your life. We may think that we're losing our way, when in fact we are being invited to discover a path beneath the path. We're being asked to move from living by habit into living from awareness, from reaction into entering relationship with life, from unconscious participation to conscious creation. Over the years, I've come to see that awakening is rarely a single moment's event. I've come to know that it's a lifelong journey. We may experience a beautiful realization, a moment of clarity, a profound spiritual opening, yet life continues to invite us deeper. Awakening is not the finish line. It is the beginning of a more conscious relationship with everything. We begin to notice how we think, how we speak, and how we respond, and how we bring our energy into the spaces that we enter. We begin to see that spirituality is not only about what we believe in those quiet moments of prayer and of meditation. Spirituality is revealed in how we live when we are disappointed. How it's revealed when we speak to someone who doesn't see the world the same way we do. It reveals itself in how we care for our own bodies, how we hold our grief, how we use our voices, and how we are willing to remain present when life is not unfolding according to our plan. Every spiritual tradition has been described in this journey in their own language. Unity teaches that divine presence is within each of us, and that we are capable of awakening to our own divine nature. The mystics call it remembrance, and the indigenous wisdom teaches us to return to right relationship with the earth, with one another, and with all living things. Psychology invites us to bring unconscious into our awareness. And neuroscience teaches that the mind and the brain are capable of change, and that what we repeatedly practice becomes strengthened within us. These teachings sound awfully different, but in truth, they all point to the shared truth that we are not fixed beings. We are always becoming. The question is whether we're becoming unconsciously, shaped by our habits, our fear, our conditioning, and circumstances, or whether we are willing to participate consciously in who we are becoming. Much of human life is unconscious. This is not a moral failure. This is simply a part of being human. We inherit ways of seeing the world before we are even old enough to question them. We inherit beliefs about God and money and success and love and safety and belonging and so much more. And we absorb the fears of our culture. We receive messages about how we should be, what we should value, and what we must accomplish in order to be accepted. Some of these beliefs may have beautiful meaning. Others remain hidden beneath the surface, directing our choices without our awareness. We may believe that we are freely choosing our lives, and yet many of our responses are shaped by the stories that we did not consciously choose. We may carry a belief that we have to earn love. We may believe that to rest needs to be justified, that conflict is dangerous, that speaking honestly can cause rejection, or that our values depend upon how much we accomplish for others. These beliefs become inner instructions. They influence how we enter relationships and how we respond to opportunities, how we handle change, and what we allow ourselves to receive. One of the most important questions on this path of awakening is this: how much of what I believe have I consciously chosen? This question is not meant to disturb us and uproot all that we've learned, but it is an invitation for becoming conscious. Where did this belief come from? Is it still true for me now? Does it create freedom, or does it create limitation? Does it lead me toward love, or does it keep me in fear? Does it reflect the person that I am becoming, or does it belong to an earlier vision of myself who is simply trying to survive? Conscious living begins with observation. Before we can choose differently, we really must become aware that of what and how we are already operating in the world. We begin to notice the stories that we tell repeatedly. We begin to listen to our own inner language. We begin to recognize the difference between our intuition and our fear, between wisdom and the present moment, and the echoes of what is past. This is where compassion becomes essential. When we become aware of our old patterns, our first response may be judgment. We might say, "Oh, shouldn't I know better? I thought I worked through this already, and it's back." Consciousness does not deepen through shaming ourselves, y'all. It deepens through love, through loving awareness. We cannot punish ourselves into wholeness. We awaken by becoming willing to see ourselves clearly and remain present with what it is that we discover. The path of conscious living asks us to say, this is what I've been carrying. This is the story that I've been repeating. This is how I learned to protect myself. And now, with love, I'm willing to choose again. And every time that we choose curiosity over judgment, compassion over certainty, presence over reaction, we are participating in creating a community where more people can breathe. I'm so glad that my accountability partner is in the house. Imagine what becomes possible when an entire spiritual community begins to ask this question: what am I giving our collective? What am I giving to our conscious collective? Are we talking only about what is wrong, or are we also becoming part of what heals? Are we part of the solution? Because if we're not, we're part of the problem. Are we waiting for someone else to create this community, or are we each taking responsibility for the quality of our presence in it? How is this community becoming transformational? Not by perfection, not because conflict may never arise here, but because people within this community are willing to always be on the path to awakening together. We are willing to repair and to listen, to ask better questions. We're willing to remember that love is larger than the momentary need to be right. This path of conscious living continues to unfold through many doorways. Conscious creation is just the beginning. There's 7 of them, and probably more. But we're staying right here today. This brings it to the heart. Conscious creation, the first portal. When I use the word creation, I'm not suggesting that we have complete control over everything that happens, because we do not. Life is a mystery. Other people have their own free will as well. Circumstances unfold that would never be our conscious choosing. Loss happens, change happens, and pain is a part of our human experience. Conscious creation means that within every circumstance, we retain the sacred capacity to choose consciousness from which we meet it. We may not control another person's behavior, but we can become responsible for the presence that we bring into this relationship. Every thought we nourish, every belief we strengthen, every place where rest into our attention participates in the life that we are creating. That is both humbling and extraordinarily hopeful. It's humbling because it asks us to become responsible for our own inner world. And it's hopeful because it means that we are never powerless. At any moment we can pause. At any moment we can notice. We can return, and we can choose anew. We can choose again. Perhaps one of the most important questions that we can ask ourselves is, what am I giving my consciousness to? What am I giving my consciousness to? Our attention is precious. Yet we often give it away without even realizing it. We awake in the morning and immediately enter the noise of the world. We reach for our phones, we read the latest headline, we revisit yesterday's concerns, we anticipate tomorrow's problems, and before our feet have touched the ground, our nervous system is all ready for the danger that may be coming our way. And we spend hours giving our consciousness to what we lack, to something else that needs to be done, what might be going wrong, what we might wish had happened differently. When we wonder why we feel depleted, depressed, and isolated and lonely, we can sort of understand why. We're opening up the portal of understanding of how we are showing up in the world. But our attention is not neutral. Whatever we repeat becomes strengthened within us. Another way of saying that is whatever I'm focusing on, I am creating more of. If I continually rehearse resentment, resentment becomes more available. I listened to a talk the other day that said the main reason why people fall out of love, get divorced, is beyond infidelity. It is the seed of resentment that grows daily. I really understood that and wanted to share that with you as we look at the repetitive behaviors that we may be in the center of. If I continually tell myself that nothing's going to work, my body begins to believe this disappointment is inevitable. Did you know that's how powerful you are? Yet the reverse is also true. When I practice gratitude, gratitude becomes accessible. When I practice compassion, compassion becomes natural to me. When I practice returning to faith, faith becomes my inner resource. my lighthouse. When we give our attention to beauty, possibility, and truth, we strengthen our capacity to recognize it. This does not mean denying what's difficult. Consciousness is not about avoidance. We can acknowledge suffering without suffering is our only reality. We can be informed without becoming consumed. We can grieve without abandoning hope. We can face the truth with what is happening while also remembering that fear is not the only force at work in this world, in this now moment. Our theme this month for July has been community and belonging, and I believe deeply that this teaching is connected to both. Every human has a longing to belong. Beneath many of our differences, there is the same sacred longing. Will I be seen, accepted? Will there be room for me? Can I bring my whole self here? Will I still be loved if I'm honest? These questions live deep within our human hearts. Many of us enter community hoping that belonging will be given to us. We hope that people around us will recognize us and welcome us, understand us, and make us feel safe. And these desires are natural and they are beautiful. Yet conscious community asks us to take another step more deeply in. It asks, what am I bringing to this space? Am I helping create belonging, the longing that I have to experience? Am I willing to see others as deeply as I wish to be seen? And am I creating room for someone whose life experiences differ from mine? Am I listening with curiosity? Or am I waiting to defend what I already believe is true? Am I bringing peace to this room? Or am I carrying unresolved tension and asking others to hold it for me? Am I willing to remain present when communities become a little uncomfortable? Belonging is not created because all of us agree with one another. Belonging is created when people learn to remain in loving relationship, even when agreements don't feel possible. Conscious community does not require sameness. It requires presence. It requires our humility. It requires a willingness to see the divine in another person, even when their path, their language, their perspective, and their experience differ from ours. We often think belonging is something that the community gives us, yet belonging is also something we help to create for one another. The conscious community is not simply a collection of individuals who are gathering in the same room. It's a living field. Every person in this room is contributing to this field. Every act of kindness strengthens this collective field, and every honest conversation strengthens it as well. And every time someone is welcomed, someone is listened to and forgiven, included and treated with dignity, this field becomes safer. Once we become aware that our inner world participates with our outer life, we naturally begin noticing that life is reflecting back to us. We become more aware of the energy that we carry. We begin learning how pain can be transformed into our wisdom. We start honoring the sacred rhythms of rest, of release, of renewal, and rebirth. We accept responsibility for the ripples that are created from our words and from our own actions. and we move toward deeper union within ourselves, where intuition and action, receptivity and discernment, heart and mind all are working together. These are not laws imposed upon us. They are portals inviting us into a more conscious relationship with life. We do not walk through them once and graduate. I know, right? Darn it. But we return to it again and again and again. Life becomes our classroom. Our relationships become our practice. And challenges become an invitation. Our awareness becomes the light by which we see. So how do we take this teaching into this day, into next week, and into our life to come? Well, I want to invite you to remember just 3 simple things from this talk. To pause, to notice, and to choose again. Pause before reacting. Pause before sending that next text message with a little angst in it. Pause before repeating the same old story you've told a million times. Pause before assuming the worst. Pause before walking into a room carrying yesterday with you. And then notice. What am I feeling? What am I believing here now in this moment? What am I expecting? What consciousness am I bringing into this moment? And then simply notice without judgment. Surrender to all of the things that you can judge within your own actions and in this world. And simply notice. From that place, we can choose. What do I wish to create here? Do I want to create greater conflict, or do I want to create understanding? Do I want to protect my old wounds, or do I want to bring present truth? Do I want to withdraw from this community, or do I want to create the belonging that I seek? Pause, notice, and choose. This practice is simple, but it is not small. It's the single conscious pause that can change a conversation. It's a single conscious choice that can change your relationship. It's a single conscious person who can change the atmosphere of a room. And when many people begin living and showing up in this way, this entire field begins to change. We often ask, how can I change the world? It's so apart at the seams. Perhaps that question in this moment is just a little big. To begin with, at any rate. Perhaps we should begin simply here. How can I change the space immediately around me? What can I do to create an experience through my presence? Does it diminish others or remind them of their own dignity? Do I bring more separation into this world, or am I creating a place where unity can be remembered? This is the sacred work of sacred and conscious living. It begins with awareness. It deepens with practice. It becomes visible through our embodiment of it. We do not change the world by some grand gesture. We will change it through the consciousness that we bring to every person we encounter. You are not being asked to be perfect. You are being invited to be present. You're not being asked to deny your human experiences. You are being invited to meet them consciously. Every time one person chooses peace, peace becomes more available to the world. Every time one person creates belonging, someone else remembers that they have a place. And every time one person brings love to a place where fear once lived, the world changes, perhaps just slightly. Perhaps it may even be invisibly. But I assure you, it's changing. This is how the new earth will be born. Not somewhere beyond us, not some distant moment. It is born through the consciousness that we embody in this now moment. One thought, one word, one choice, one relationship, one conscious step at a time. And perhaps after all of our searching, we discover that this path has never been separate from us. It is the life we are living. It is the person who's standing before us. It is the moment of asking for our presence. The path is this quiet inner voice reminding us that love is still available. And every time we pause, we notice, and we choose consciously, we take another step home. Namaste.